And welcome back once again to Wizard World Virtual Experiences as the crowd emojis wildly. You can also clap from the comfort and safety of your home, but show us those emojis, show us their love, show us that you're watching with those thumbs up, those hearts, and all those funky things you can do on Twitch. Also, shout out in the comments now where you're watching from. We have folks watching from around the world, each and every one of these virtual panels, and we love it. We love connecting, albeit virtually. This bringing that Comic-Con life to the comfort and safety of your home. So, tell us what states or what countries you're currently tuning in from. My name is Mike G. I'm one of your regular moderators here at Wizard World Virtual Experiences. I am joined by some amazing people, some of my favorite nerds from around the country. Let's hear it first. Joining me to my left, he might be somewhere else on your screen. We don't know how Zoom works, let's be honest. He is co-host of the Hall of Justice podcast, and he's also a co-host of Black, White, and Red All Over. You know him from You Create Comics. Please give it up for the hardest working man in comics, Victor Dandridge, everybody.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing tonight?
What's up, Victor? Obviously, Victor, if you saw the full panel of the Sons of Anarchy panel from this weekend, Victor was our illustrious moderator, so excited to chat with him.
Yes.
See what it was like. And joining us for the first time here, but again, you may have seen her from this past weekend's panel. She came in with a fan question. Also, if you are a huge Sons or Mayans fan, in addition to other properties, you probably know her by name or by social media handle. Here's just a few: at Gotham Addicts, at Strain Addicts, at OB Addicts, obviously for Orphan Black, at Empire Addicts. That's just a few. There's a couple more in there. She's going to tell us a little bit more about that. But more importantly, SOA Mayan Addicts. Give it up for Candace, everybody.
Hey!
Yay! Candace, thank you so much for being here. Chance, one of our friends, Chance, from Nostalgic Pod Blast, is in the chat right now. We love Chance. He's been hanging out with us on these rewatch parties. Jazz as well. PDX in the house. Welcome. This is Wizard World Rewatch Wednesdays. Every Wednesday night, we take a look back at some of our favorite clips and moments from our panels from the past weekend. And this weekend, boy, oh boy, did we have a good lineup from some Sons of Anarchy. This is our second Sons of Anarchy panel in the virtual space, but we had Kim Coates, Mark Boone Jr., Ryan Hurst, and Theo Rossi. I was trying not to just like bow and like sort of just shed tears as I was running it in the background. I got to hear about y'all's experience. Victor, tell me about how excited you were for the panel and sort of where your son's fandom started.
So absolutely excited. I've actually worked with a couple of the guys a couple times before on some live action pieces. So it was kind of like catching up with friends, you know. And it's kind of a weird thing. Like when you become friends with these guys, it is for life. Like it is not even a joke. I know Candace knows that because when she popped on, everyone's like, Candace! I'm like, wow, like she's got to be the coolest person that I don't know yet. So Candace, I'm so glad to meet you. But my son's fandom actually started because of a panel. I had missed it when it first aired, and I knew, like, I caught wind that we were gonna do a Sons panel. Oh my god, I can't remember where we were. I think it was like New Orleans at some point, like years back. And I binged the entire series in order to get like all of it within like a couple of weeks. You talk about emotions. I went through all of them in just a span of a couple of weeks. It was crazy. I loved it though.
Yeah, that same Victor. I got assigned is the wrong word.
I know, right?
Gifted.
There you go.
I was gifted a panel with Ryan Hurst solo first, I believe. Then Ryan Hurst and Tommy Flanagan. So if you thought Kim Coates curses a lot, oh boy, Tommy Flanagan, everybody. If you ever have a chance, he didn't care who was in the room or what was going on. He was there to talk Sons and just curse. It was not like when us Americans just kind of like curse and it's very harsh.
Oh no.
It had this lovely lilt. It was a beautiful Irish lilted Scottish, that's right, sorry. Scottish just cursing lilt that just came so beautifully together, and I love it. So same thing, binged it, and I'm a huge Shakespearean nerd as well, and it was one of those things where I was watching it and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so Shakespearean in style. Obviously very specifically Hamlet.
Very much so Hamlet.
But just even the tragedy, the murder, the deception and betrayal, the sort of hierarchy of like kings, right? Versus, you know what I mean? And people working their way up. That's what really stuck it for me for that series, was just the beauty of that kind of storytelling.
That's awesome.
So again, that's how I nerd out. But again, same thing, binged it.
Yep.
and then binged it again recently in the virtual space. Candace, we can't even hold a hat to you though. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah.
No, well, I mean, I'm just like you guys. I discovered it a little after it had started, and I wanted something to watch. My boss I was back when they had flash drives, and my boss had flash drives of the show.
Oh,
so I took them home over the weekend. I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I finished all the flash drives. It was like over the Christmas holidays, I think. And then I knew there was more flash drives in his office.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one Saturday afternoon, I'm driving up to get all the other flash drives. And I just binged the whole thing in a couple weeks. And then I started I didn't know anything about Facebook groups or anything, but I wanted somebody to talk to about the show because I was so excited.
Yeah.
And I joined a Facebook group, and it wasn't really for me. And I thought, I'm going to just join another. I'm going to create my own with these 4 people that I've met on this group. And then people started joining, and I was surprised. And
That's
I was
amazing.
like, oh my God, here we have 100 people. It's 500. It's 1,000. Now it's 80,000 people.
Yeah.
Wow,
Congrats.
that's awesome.
Congrats. That's amazing.
Crazy at one point. And then I got on Twitter and I tweeted something about what does a fan group have to do to get a follow from a cast member, because I didn't even know anything about Twitter. and Kurt Sutter tweeted to Kim Coates and said, "Yeah, Kim, what do they have to do?" And
oh my God!
Followed me, and then everybody else followed me, and
that's
the rest
amazing.
is kind of history.
Hey, but listen, I mean, we social media gets knocked a lot these days because of some of the vitriol and some of the negativity that happens. But it's such a flip of a coin. Just when you see all that stuff, there's also beautiful stories like that of people coming together and connecting that wouldn't normally connect.
Exactly.
Yeah, coming together.
All my friends, I can honestly say this: all the new friends I've made in the last 6-7 years have all been Sons of Anarchy related friends.
That's awesome.
That's so awesome.
And I had never I just thought it was going to be just a thing on social media, and then I remember Kim tweeted something about they were going to be in Ottawa, and I'd never met any. I'd never thought about meeting any, and I tweeted, "Oh, I guess it's time for a road trip," and he said, "Yeah, I guess it is," and I was like, "Oh no, I'm committed now."
You're committed now. You got to go.
That's so funny.
My friend get in the car, we're driving up, and Tommy and Kim were the first 2 people I met.
That's awesome.
That was quite the experience, and I was
he's awesome.
ever since.
Oh my gosh.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And that just goes to show you, what I mean? Like the power of fandom, the power of nerdery, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would you say that Sons is do you have the most followers on that account?
Yeah.
In terms of,
yeah, that's my biggest account. It was our biggest group on Facebook. It was and it is our biggest Twitter following. But, we have...
Awesome.
Okay, Sophia Rossi's messaging me right now.
Yes, tell him to crash.
If
you want to share, although
like,
Theo had a bit of tech issues this weekend.
He did have some tech issues this time. That's all right.
If you want to give him the link, we would love for him to crash. Totally fine.
I swear to God, even if he still likes something, I still get giddy like a little kid.
Yeah, I get that. That never goes away.
It never goes away.
No.
Yes, and we have almost 50,000 followers on Twitter.
Cool.
On Twitter, but the other ones aren't too shabby either.
Yeah, no, and we already, Candace and Wizard, we've already talked behind the scenes. We're bringing Candace back for all of her fandoms for sure.
Yes.
Because your energy is infectious, and so we appreciate you being here. Bella Luna Creation says Ryan Hurst is so sweet to meet in real life and smells divine.
They all smell divine all the time.
And they all
That's
smell.
such a true comment.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny.
Kim has one of the best laughs is one of the comments we see. Bella Luna again says the talent of these amazing actors on the show made my heart and blood pressure go up and down.
Yep.
My gosh. And Candace is right, everybody. If you go back, these rewatch parties are fun. We do them midweek, kind of a chance for us to nerd out, but also you. So if you have any comments about the show, about the panel, about your favorite actors on the show, put them in the chat. We'll read them out live on air right now. But I will say it is an understatement when I say that they were so excited to see Candace this past weekend. So go back and watch the panel. I know Victor was jealous.
You have no idea.
A little bit.
That is so great. We do this every day for free. You know what I mean? I've been doing this every day, all day long, 7 days a week for free. Yeah. And it's that kind of, you've built up that kind of relationship with them. Right. And when you go to see them somewhere or whatever, at this point, they all know who I am. Mm-hmm. They all know me by name. And so it really is a family that they
Absolutely.
created it, right? It's an SOA family. We call it family now, but you know,
Family.
I love
family.
that.
Yeah, it really is a fandom that it just sticks together, and it's like I said, I've made so many friends. The guys are always so gracious. They're always so humble.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, you don't always get fandoms or actors that are humble.
That's true. That's
And
true.
as big as they are, they're so well grounded and they're so appreciative of everything you do for real.
That's
And I
awesome.
think that's one of the things that makes me love them all so much. And they're all very funny.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And speaking of all those things you just said, Candace, that was an excellent segue into our first clip. This is a clip from the panel where they're talking about being recognized by fans of the show, and a little bit about how that kind of plays out.
It can be weird.
Yeah, it can be weird. It can also be really fun and rewarding. So
Yeah.
here is a clip again of them talking about that recognition as actors and characters of our favorite show, Sons of Anarchy. Take a look.
Me? Of course. I mean, television is the medium where everybody thinks you're their best friend. You enter their house
Right.
in such a way. And now everybody, you see everything at home anyway, particularly over the last 10 months it is, but but the weekly thing is like, it's people are so, and they're batshit crazy over this show. I mean,
They are, but it's worthy though.
really,
Can I jump in there with one of my favorite stories? Is Boone and I were at breakfast one day, and this guy runs up to Boone while we're sitting there eating and goes, "Holy shit, you're Mark Boone Jr. You're that guy from Sons of Anarchy." And Boone just kind of eating, looking at him, and the guy stands there, and there's this long, awkward pause. And Boone's just eating, and he looks at the guy, and the guy's just kind of hyperventilating, and then Boone just goes, "Well, what the fuck do we do now?"
And in that moment, he was Bobby. Like, there's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
The most Bobbiest moment of all time. I love that.
That's like one of my favorite things to do is when somebody runs up and says like, "Oh my God, like, what do I know you from?" And I kind of go,
High school.
"Well, why don't you go first? Because I don't know who you are either."
How do I pick this? How do I pick? What's the weirdest thing anyone's ever thrown at you? Like, has anyone really like got it completely wrong?
Well, I'll just say that I learned a lesson, man.
Okay.
When Sun started to slowly percolate and take off, I've always been known for my movies. And so Sons was starting to change, like Booney said, we're all of a sudden in everyone's bedroom, living room. It's a wacky life to be a regular on television, especially a successful show like this. And I'm in a grocery store and I'm standing in line and this guy's in front of me and of course it's pre-COVID, so it's a long time ago. So he's like right in front of me.
Right.
And he keeps turning around looking at me and I go, okay, here we go. And he goes, "Hey man, I know you. I know you." And I go, "Cool." And he goes, "No, man, but I know you." And I go, "Well, I don't know how to help you. Did we go to school together?" He goes, nah, that's not it. And I go, and then I figured, oh, fuck it. I went, "I'm an actor." He goes, "No, you're not. No, you're not. That's not it. That's not." And I realized by telling the truth, and he goes, no, that's not it. You're not a fucking actor." I've never done that again, ever in my life. If you can't figure out who this nose is, too bad. Yeah.
See, I would have said like, "Oh my God, I loved you in Bad Boys." Like that's like the first place that I know that I saw you, Kim. Like
it was a long time ago. Yeah.
Not that long. Don't make it sound like you're old. That's not. Don't do that. Don't.
No,
do that.
you're not old. But you were in Bad Boys, Kim?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to watch that one again.
And
He kicks it off.
It's right off the beginning. It's me, Will, and Lawrence. Right off the very first scene. They had to reshoot it. Michael Bay asked me. I went in.
Oh.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Theo, what about you? You've got quite a few roles.
I just know that people, I could always tell because people are so incredibly disappointed that I have hair. Like they're so disappointed. It's the first thing they say.
I know I am.
Yeah. Like they see me and they're like, "Oh, you have hair." And I'm like,
And you're like,
"Yeah,
yes?
what's going on?" Of course I do. Yeah. They're like, "Oh, the tattoos aren't real." I'm like, "Yeah." They're just like so disappointed. And I'm like, I don't want to. And then like we're in this weird somber place where I'm like, Yeah, so what's up? And they're just like, so.
Yeah, I'm Theo. I'm not Juice. That's not really
Yeah,
who I am at all.
Just so, and they have seen the other stuff. They're just so disappointed that the tattoos aren't real. And it's a really strange thing. It's such a strange thing to be disappointed about. But I guess, I don't know. But you know what it is? What?
Looking at you and
That's what they do.
and recognizing you and then being disappointed.
That's exactly what
That's
happened.
it.
Like they come up with full excitement, and then as they get close, if I have a hat on, because usually if I get uncomfortable, I like take my hat off and start running my hands through my hair. So I'm just like doing this, and they go, oh, they're not real, and then they almost like walk away. Like it's
The balloon is big deflated.
the whole thing was a fail. Like their
Listen,
whole life was a
You're
lie.
not supposed to take the mascot head off, man. You did that.
It's so funny with Sons because it's not like, Marvel's event, right? You're not like seeing like Karen Gillan without the Nebula makeup off, you know,
Right.
stuff like that, where you're able to kind of separate it because the show, I feel like, is so realistic. You really believe that they're real people. You know what I mean? To Mark's point too, like, and we were in your home, you watched us die, you watched like our family die, you watched us fight and murder, you know what I mean? So that you really do believe that they're real people.
Yeah.
Well, it was also different back in the day. It wasn't like this, binge watching. You waited week to week to see the episode, so they lived with you all week too.
Mm-hmm.
You
Where you didn't know, like you literally had to wait for a week to find out what happened.
Yeah, so they lived with you for 8 years, not just the 3 weeks that you binge watched it, right?
It's true. It's true.
Candace,
Although they've still lived with me since. Like I haven't let go yet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, especially since people are now rewatching, we're far enough away from the end of the show that I know people are rewatching it and rediscovering it. Candace, I know you do this weekly, and Kim and Theo still talk about it. Yeah, go for it.
It's funny because so during this pandemic,
yeah,
it's everybody's looking for something different to do, and Theo started a theory podcast, and then one week he had Kim on it, and then they're like, let's talk about the show. And then it just kind of took off. And next thing you know, they decided they wanted to do what they're calling Reaper Reviews.
Yeah.
Where they go back and they watch an episode and then they do a podcast about that episode. But so right now we're doing seasons 1 through 3. But the best part of the whole thing is we have all seen it as fans. We know everything that happens. We know every thing that we think we know.
Right.
Sure.
And we've watched it 100 times. Kim and Theo have never watched it.
Right.
They've never seen it. They don't know who half the characters are. They don't know what happens. They don't like see. Some of them don't like watching themselves. Some of them do. Some of them have only seen a couple episodes. So it's the funniest thing to watch because they're discovering the show as fans for the first time.
That's awesome.
So so they're like, they're doing these podcasts and they're like, holy shit, this show is so good.
It's so good. Like, we've been telling you that for years.
Yeah. And I mean, half of the entertainment we're getting from is watching their reaction and their delight in discovering
That's
the
amazing.
show for the first time. So we want to go along with that. What we do is on they drop the podcast on Wednesdays.
Sure.
So on Tuesday nights, on Tele Tuesday at 10 o'clock, which is the same time slot that Sons of Anarchy air on FX. We lead a rewatch. We call it the pre-podcast party.
Nice.
And we all start the episode at 10 o'clock wherever we would normally watch it, whether it's a DVD or I watch it in Netflix in Canada, people watch it on Hulu in the US, and I just kind of do a countdown and we all press play and we do a live tweet as if it was on TV. And
That's
so
amazing.
everybody gets to join in and become part of this community that are rewatching this episode that then the next morning Theo and Kim drop the podcast about. So we've just watched it. And then we watch them discuss what they had just seen.
I love this third life setup. This is brilliant.
Yeah, so it's like we're going around again. So they're going randomly between seasons 1 and 3, and they're going randomly between all episodes. So then they get kids to they not seen it.
That's why they have no idea what's going on.
It's all out of order.
They don't know where they are. And did this happen and what? And they have to watch the previously on Sons of Anarchy like 3 times. Sons of Anarchy like 3 times because they're like, what? What happened before?
That's so fun. That's so awesome.
Awesome.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad you started that. Yeah. Fans are chiming in right now. Some more reasonable fans about Theo Rossi, seeing him with hair. Would not be, Bella says, not at all. They're real people. Would be cool to meet him. Jazz would not be disappointed. Melissa said, being disappointed because he doesn't look exactly like one character he plays seems silly. Theo's been in a lot of things where he had hair.
Right.
I would just like to meet him. So yeah, some sensible fans in the chat.
Well, being honest, the minute you meet Theo, he is so warm and so
Yeah.
welcoming.
I was gonna ask
And
you.
the minute he smiles at you, all of that goes away, and you're just like, this
Yeah.
guy is just amazing.
Yeah.
I
You have
can't
a
say
favorite?
enough
Known him forever.
great things.
I'm not gonna, Candace, I'm not gonna ask you to pick your favorite child. Victor would do that because he does that often. when
I
he's
do
panels.
that.
He
I'm
does-
evil.
Yeah, but I am gonna ask you what your favorite first meet was in terms of all of the actors. So now you know them all and you've grown to love them all. But was there a favorite first interaction with a particular one from the show that stands out to you?
Well, it's kind of funny you say that because I have obviously met everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously the big ones are Kim, Theo, Charlie, Ryan, all the big boys. But the one that really made me the most nervous was I had met everybody overall the last couple of years, and the only person I hadn't met was Maggie Siff, who doesn't really do anything
Mhm.
Right.
as far as meeting people, and Katie
Sure.
Seagal.
Yeah.
So Katie Seagal was playing with the Reluctant Apostles in Las Vegas, and over the time I've come to know Bob Field, who's the music director, and that's hence one of my questions is that.
Yeah.
And
Good
him and I
question.
become really good friends, and I've seen him play with in a couple of different venues. So anyhow, she was going to be playing in Las Vegas, so I saw him outside the theater, and he said, "Oh my God, you're here, yay!" And then he's like, "Where are you sitting?" And I told him, and so we were just fooling around outside, waiting to go in, and we got inside, and there was somebody waiting at my chair, and they're like, "Come with me." And they took me and everybody I was with to the back to the dressing room. And Bob was like, "I want to introduce you to Katie." And I was a mess.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
I
awesome.
was like shaking.
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
I wasn't this nervous when I met Charlie.
That's so
It
cool.
was
What a
really
great story.
sweet.
Yeah.
It was really, really sweet. So we got to hang out for about 15 minutes in her dressing room, and
That's
and,
awesome.
and it was the one that had gotten away, and then I finally got her type of
Yeah.
thing.
The
But-
so
unicorn. Oh, I love
Yeah.
it.
Bob
and
Field Jr.
she's
Yeah.
so nice.
Oh,
so
that's so
nice.
cool. Of course she is. She couldn't be this horrible person. You could be like, "Oh, forget her." She's also
Well,
nice.
I'm
She's an
Team
amazing
Gemma.
actress and nice. Oh, come on.
I'm not Team Gemma all the way. You're either
Yeah,
Team
there you go.
Vera or Team Gemma. There's no in between.
Well, that's a
Right?
good one.
real.
That's a good
That's
one.
real.
Sound off in the comments right now. You mentioned Bob Field Jr., obviously the music director. That was your brilliant question from your fans and yourself. So definitely check that out. We watched some of the clips from the panel, but we want you to go back and watch that full
Yes.
panel, including Candace's question. It's in the video section on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, so check that out. But speaking of the music, not only being one of the best parts of the show and such an integral part of the show's flow and movement, the writing obviously gets a lot of credit. And here are the actors. I want to get to another clip. Here's a bunch of them. This started off as like a different question and kind of segued. Victor did a great job moderating, but here are the actors just talking about the writing and the intensity, the intensity of performing in this show. Take a look.
No, that's fair.
Playing
And-
against the writing was a big thing that I was
Yeah.
confronted with all the time.
okay.
Because there were things that Bobby was told he had to do, which I didn't agree with at all, me personally,
Right.
at all. So playing against that, the writing,
It's got- yeah.
I had to do that.
Even though that's not you. I get that. Ryan, what about you, man?
But again, to that, I mean, whenever you're sort of creatively making something, I mean, there's always going to be some sort of rough patch where you're going to go up against the creatives in a certain way. But the beautiful part about it, that I still think is like ridiculously unique is like when you have a super successful show, you got a bunch of guys, you got egos flying around. Is that all of us? There was never any actory sort of bullshit.
No, never,
Never.
never,
There was
Never.
never like, oh, I gotta go home. Can you act? to this?
never, never.
It's like that was like never a part of the question. Is everybody showed up for everybody else. Like there was never a time where I was just kind of like, oh well, I guess I'm doing this scene by myself because you got better things to do. So that was always a really nice security thing to know that like we were all sort of journeymen of this craft and we were doing our thing and that we were looking.
Yeah, man.
Oh, that's beautiful. Love that phrase. Dale, you want to add anything to that?
No, listen, I think Ryan says it perfect. I mean, the one thing that we can always rely on is each other. I think, honestly, looking back now and, not really, maybe, hindsight's always 2020. I mean, that show fucked me up. Like the truth, it did,
Right.
just like not just as a person, but as an actor. Like I almost had to like recover for a moment because I went right into another show. And I felt like, as someone who rescues dogs and everybody on this, call can understand this, it was almost like I was like a shelter dog after that. Like I was like, everything was like, what? What'd you say? No, I'm not doing. And it was like, hold on. And the reason is because there was so much chaos outside of us. You have to understand that we were shooting these episodes very fast.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot going on. There was a lot of people. There was so much there was tension, there was this that but inside of us, what Ryan just said was all good,
Right.
barring a few little small instances here and there, but we always had each other's back.
Right.
And I got to be honest, I think if we didn't, I don't think it would have been the iconic show that it was. And I think that was the one thing that always read was that regardless of how everybody was feeling, regardless of anything that was going on outside of this bubble that we had created, we were there for each other no matter what. And that is something that I know we've all experienced not happening. So that is something that was so important to me because there was so much other chaos, true chaos. I mean, armed guards and this and like it was just nuts for a little while, especially after season 4 and up. And I think that it changed a lot for a lot of us. And I know that now we can look back. And because everything is so different in this industry, it's night and day. I mean, to look back at that time, it was, to me, I look back at it really fondly now. And I know that, a lot of people have, they call it like retromania. You kind of go back to something that seemed a little more innocent. It was kind of right before cell phones really came crazy like this, when people were still switching, before smartphones. But I just think that the one thing that I really look back at now and I really enjoy is the relationship we all had. While family is never perfect, it was truly amazing because I have so much deep love for every single person because each one of us has like a unique thing with each other. And that's something that I've never found on anything else that I've done. At that scope. You might find one or two people you like, but not the scope we had.
Right. No, that's beautiful.
We had to be that way, or it wouldn't have, because of, like you said, the way we shot it and the chaos that the particularly coming from above. There was such craziness outside of us,
right?
And it really had to be that way, and there was a lot of work that went into keeping it that way.
It was almost like a survival tool. Like we had to be like that. And we needed to. And that, again, I want to make sure that everybody knows, it doesn't mean that it was always perfect. There were definitely, things within, but it means that at the end of the day, we needed to be with each other. We needed to be there for each other. We needed to love on each other because there were times where people were going to go under. I know I can name 5 instances on my own. I don't know about everybody else, but there were things that was like, everybody needed to be a voice of reason for someone else at one point.
Right.
And that is something that you just don't see. And I think one day somebody will realize, I don't know if it's like this on other shows. I only know because I've only been a regular on, 2 shows, the one after this and, and whatever's coming the next one. But it's like, it was chaotic.
I nerd out listening to actors talk about those kind of things, you know what I mean? And
100.
To hear, I mean, they are a motorcycle. They've made their own club. You know what I mean? They are Sam Crow just as actors. You know what I mean?
Right.
And to hear them all just like speak real. I mean, what I really want is like the deep cut. I want to go grab a
Right, like the part where they're like,
let's go off
no
the
holds
air.
bars.
Yeah, let's go off the air. I want to hear about these higher ups and
Oh
what
my
went down
God.
with that and stuff like that. Oh my God, Candace, I mean, you must have heard these stories before, yeah.
So I have heard some stories, obviously. But it's funny that you were talking about the writers. One of the things that that we did, I think, really well in our group that set us apart from a lot of the other fandoms is that, you know, as great as Charlie is, as great as all the actors are, we really focused on all the other different parts of putting together a TV show.
Sure.
For instance, the music, the writing, the directing, the set
That's awesome.
decoration, you know, the makeup artist, Tracy, the makeup artist, you know, the hairstylist, like all of the costumes, like all of the different departments that people don't normally think about when they're in a fandom. It's
The
always
unsung
about,
heroes. Yeah.
you know, it's always about the actors, and it's, you know, we all love them, but there's a whole bunch more behind them.
Yeah.
And so I did spend a lot of time getting to know. We would do segments and stuff on the writers or directors. The directors I love, like Paris Barkley, he's like my favorite. He was the one I was really excited to meet at the after party.
That's awesome.
Anyhow, so, you know, the writing, it's funny because a lot of the writers started together on The Shield, right? Kurt Sutter,
Right.
Sean Ryan, Glenn Mazzara, all those guys worked together on The Shield. And then they went on to do different projects. And then Kurt Sutter had a lot of incredible writers on Sons of Anarchy. And a lot of them have also gone on to be showrunners. Like, you know, Benjamin Lobato is doing Queen of the South now. Scooter Rosenbaum went off and did Gang Related after, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And then Vaughn Wilmot has done a couple of shows and he's now doing Prison Break. So there's a lot of the writers that have gone on to be showrunners. So Sons has been a great stepping stone for people, you know, to move on to their careers. And their next step is usually pretty big, you know.
Yeah.
One of the writers for Sons, Charles Murray, who's just fantastic. He just became showrunner of a new series that is in development for about Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, shout out Charles. Murray.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
You know, so he was a writer and he directed his first episode of Sons was, you know, season 7, episode 8. It was his first directing experience of a TV show. So the show gives a great platform to artists in all different areas to grow and to do better.
That's awesome.
And I mean, that's how we kind of grew our groups as well. They all organically came from the same thing, and the jumping off point from Sons of Anarchy, because, you know, Gotham started because Darnell Logue was Leech Horrick in SOA, and he tweeted me one day. He was coming to Toronto. He's like, I want to meet the SOA Addicts anytime, any place, anywhere. I'm on my way to Toronto. I was like, okay. So I went and met him. And we ended up hanging out and meeting, and he is one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. And he was in Toronto during the upfronts for Gotham. So I went home that night and created Gotham Addicts, and he tweeted to all his friends.
Awesome.
Follow this group right here.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean, it goes to show you how unique the show was, like what it started, because it really, Theo kind of alludes to this a little bit, but it started off a genre and also kind of like ended a genre. He goes on to say that shows really have changed recently. It's a lot more about binging shows and kind of getting through things, and you're not really getting full episodes. You're getting bits of episodes all kind of streamed into one long like movie. Yeah. This was a full season, 20, right? 20. I mean, I know every episode or every season was different amounts of episodes, but you know,
about 13 most seasons.
Yeah.
But it was the hours that changed it. It was 45 minutes up until like an hour and a half.
Right.
It just depended on what they were doing that week. Yeah,
and they really sort of ended a generation too. And Theo brought up Walking Dead being one of the last ones still on TV. But I mean, either way, and both of those series have had roots, right? That have like sprinkled out.
Yeah.
And it's all about family. Again, it's about the family that they created as actors, and we see that, so we believe it on screen. When we see them, we're like, oh, we believe that these guys are really family, and they really were off.
And they are, yeah, they are.
I got to give a shout out to you, Candace, because your fandom is so
good.
Yeah, like it's so well-rounded. Like you're not just talking about the stars that everybody knows, but you really get into the parts and pieces, the people behind the scenes, and then where they go beyond that. And that is breathtaking. As a fellow creative, that is the greatest thing in the world.
Oh, thank you.
Very,
We've
very
had some fun times. A lot of things, the really good part for me is getting to know the cast and the crew so well. Is that I get the opportunity to do fun things. So for instance, when Gotham was on the air, I knew all the cast, and I asked them all, every week before the show started to do a Q&A with Gotham Addicts. So,
awesome.
From 7 to 8, we had either Robin or Donnell or one of the major actors doing a Q&A just with us and just with our followers, and so that gets everybody to the Twitter, and then they live tweet the show right after. I mean, it was madness. It was crazy.
Awesome.
And this is a great lesson too, Candace, about how you just need to persevere as a fan site and a social site. Put good content out there, which is what you do, and persevere, and it naturally builds a family. I think a lot of people get disheartened, and there's this kind of like firewall, if you will, of like brokers and agents and managers, and actors don't want to do this stuff. Like, no, actors love their fans, and it's all about putting the good content out there. You know what I mean? Good stuff out there, and they'll respond. They'll respond.
I mean, all you have is your reputation, right? Like,
that's it.
Yeah.
I don't get paid for any of this. I just do it for fun. But when you have the respect of the cast and the crew, and even in Gotham, some of them, sometimes you had to go through production and you had to go through it but most of them you don't. You know what I mean? They just want to do it because they follow you and they know what you do and they love to be a part of it because they love to be a part of it, right?
That's so cool. That's a hot tip. So for anyone watching out there, I mean, it's these are some awesome tips about starting your own fan sites,
definitely,
fan social media accounts and such. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, and you gotta work at it. It doesn't just happen overnight. You don't become, a big fan site overnight.
Say that again.
You have to work hard every single day.
So the back row.
That's right. Yeah. Those guys need to hear it too.
I don't just come on here and do a tweet once a month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There you go.
Like what we do is really we fill the void between episodes. And make sure that everyone still is engaged. Yeah, and it's really hard. Sons of Anarchy has been off the air for 7 years, and Maya's hasn't been on the air for 2 or 3 years. So I got to do something to keep this all going, And thankfully, Reaper Reviews has kind of dropped in there to give us new content, and even though it's the same show, it's a whole new look.
Totally.
Awesome.
Cindy Girl, speaking of some of your fans, Cindy Girl says, "Hi Victor, hi Candace, love you both."
Hi,
wine glass. So,
this is fun.
Yes, Cindy's saying Candace is family, so we appreciate it.
Yeah,
so we spent a whole lot of time talking about how it's important not only to respect the actors on the show, but all of the people behind the scenes. Let's throw that away and just get to the star, Charlie Hunnam here. Is our next clip? No, I'm just kidding. It always comes up. And
first
go.
Charlie Hunnam is not on social media anywhere. No how, no way. So if you're following something that you think is Charlie Hunnam, don't.
It ain't him. It ain't him.
That's another good tip, though. Be wary of official CharlieHunnam.com.
Right.
You know what I mean? I want to talk to, Cindy Girl X said, "Love you too, Mike." I appreciate you throwing that in there in the end. Let's take a look at this clip because obviously one of the most important relationships in the show was Jax and Obi. Jax is the main character, the protagonist, and his best friend, and those are who you're going to connect with and follow throughout. And it's really from their perspective. I know. Let's not.
I got this.
Let's not get teary-eyed. This is a fun panel. It's a fun panel. But here is Ryan Hurst talking about his relationship with Charlie Hunnam. It's super sweet. Take a look.
Yeah. I mean, I text with Charlie, twice a week. It was really strange. For whatever reason, Charlie reminds me of one of my younger brothers. Like, there's just something about his aura and like the way that he talks, and I don't know, all his mannerisms, that he reminds me of my brother Chapin. And so like when I first met him, I was just kind of like, I just vibed with him really, really close. And the same thing happened with Boone. I remember when I first met Boone, we walked up to each other and just stared at each other. And Boone went, "Yeah," and I went, "Uh-huh." And he goes,
The first meeting we had, what you were reading some fucking book. I was sitting on the step of your thing, like I'm an intellectual, don't like it. You know. And then I stopped. I go, yeah. And he goes,
That's a lot of conversation in those yes, though. That's some pregnant yes. I love it.
what are you reading? You remember?
I don't remember what I was reading.
Some really like old classic. Like I'm a very, very intellectual guy.
Except I was reading it upside down.
I was
Probably.
reading Moby Dick. Moby
Right.
Dick. Wanted to show everybody.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, that's hilarious.
Yeah, no, but that brotherhood carried through with everybody, you know, and it is you know, it's I don't know how to explain it. It's like real early on, we kind of just had this everybody had this sort of blood pact of like, oh, I guess we're gonna really be friends until we're dead, you know. So
Yeah.
so that just sort of, you know, happened in a way, you know. And you know, anytime you're an actor, you know, you sort of live this life of a gypsy, and you go from gig to gig, and everybody goes, oh my god, it's like, you know, it's like a dysfunctional family. But it's like, you know, I've been doing this for almost 30 years now, and like, again, with Sons, it's like I don't know how to describe the sort of, you know, confluence of all this shit that sort of came together in terms of like where everybody was in their life and where everyone was going as a professional, where everybody was going as a human, and we all just kind of like just got mashed together,
Right.
you know, this way that you can't kind of like separate us completely, even though we're, you know, off doing our own things now. It's there's this bubblegum effect of us all together.
Yeah, well said, right?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so good, so good. We are out of time, everybody. But this was, I know it goes fast, Candace. When you know, once you start talking your favorite shows, it can go super fast.
Super quick.
We appreciate everybody. Yeah, exactly. Everybody tuning in. We have a special clip that we want to end with, but just as a reminder, we scratched the surface. We watched 3 4-minute clips.
Yeah.
There's a 50-minute panel from start to finish that's amazing, just from your favorite actors from Sons of Anarchy. They have done their live video chats, but you can still get video recorded messages and autographs from all 4 of those amazing actors. So head to wizardworldvault.com. It's there's the symbol for the Wizard World Vault. I'm always bad with the mirror image. Head to wizardworldvault.com to check out all of those amazing experiences that you can still interact with some of your favorite cast members. In addition to Kim, Mark, Ryan, and Theo, we also have some fun stuff from past virtual conventions, signed autographs and such. So take a look at that. Just put Sons of Anarchy in the search bar and you'll find some amazing stuff. Hey, times are tough right now in terms of doing physical conventions, and we want to continue to support speaking of artists and behind the scenes and vendors, we've got some of our favorite artists and vendors up on the vault as well. We are running Cyber Week deals all this week, so get on there right now. This is a perfect time to get some holiday gifts for your loved ones at Wizard World Vault, and also support small local artists and vendors. So take a look at that.
Indeed.
Some other cool stuff coming up this week. Tomorrow night, join me back here in my home. Don't come to my home. Don't come to my home.
We're coming, man. You invited us.
On the virtual space, we do Whiz Quiz every Thursday night. It's free trivia, 50 questions in 50 minutes, and we get free prizes from the vault, free signed memorabilia. So come and hang out with me. Stella Maeve is going to be live tomorrow from The Magicians. On the weekend, we've got actors from Spaceballs, Hallmark Christmas movies, the original voice cast of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Victor's excited for that. He's on that one.
Just a little bit.
And then next week, Eddie Furlong, the original John Connor from Terminator, and obviously an actor, award-winning actor from American History X, will be joining us. In addition to some other amazing things that I can't reveal yet, but follow us on social media at Wizard World on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for all that stuff. So that's us. Let's go to you. Victor, tell everybody where they can find out more about you.
Of course, I'm Victor Dandridge at Vantage In-House on Instagram, Twitter. Candace, I need all your help. I need to build my social media followings up like you've built yours, because I need to take that master class from you. But definitely follow me on there. If you are a comic book fan, that is what I do for a living. And if you actually have kids that are interested in making comics, or you want to, boost some educational stuff, please check out You Create Comics. That's the letter U, CRE, the number 8 comics.com. That is a sister site of mine where I'm bringing comic books into the classroom to help empower learning for students. So all kinds of comic book goodness.
Boom. Thanks, Victor. And Candace, tell us not only about your son's account and the podcast and the rewatch, but then also all the sites that you run. Tell us where we can find more from you.
So we have SOA Mind Addicts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We also have Empire Addicts, OB Addicts, which is for Orphan Blacks, The Strain Addicts, Bastard Executioner Addicts, which is BE Addicts, and Queen of the South Addicts, new one coming up. They just went to start filming season 5.
Cool.
So that's coming up. So yeah, most of our shows have ended, unfortunately. And like I said, we keep them going a little bit, but there's not a lot of new stuff coming as far as they're concerned. So, we just kind of do what we do organically. And if it falls into place and it fits, then we do it. And that's kind of how we're sort of transitioning over to Queen of the South, because we just like those guys. So
I love it.
But every Tuesday night, right? Every Tuesday night we get to
every Tuesday night, SOA Mind Addicts, we do a rewatch party, and we pick an episode next week. It's going to be season 3, episode 2, Oiled.
Cool.
And so get ready, come watch us, come join us. You're always welcome to join the family. Reaper Reviews drops a bunch of new merchandise yesterday, so it sells out quickly. There's some new stuff. I have some. I'm wearing the salmon stuff. Yay!
I love that. That's awesome.
But dropped some new merchandise, so check that out. Rave Review podcast dropped today on all where you get all your podcasts, Apple and YouTube and everything. And it's a lot of fun. It's like we're reliving the game.
Yeah,
love
so
it.
good.
So
It was
thank
so
you
nice
for-
having you, Candace.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, we are
Yes,
having
indeed.
you back for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
You experted the shit out of me. Nice. It's a Suns panel. We can curse on this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got lots more stories and fun and
Oh yeah, so
I love
definitely check out Candace on all that social media. Obviously at SOA Mayan Addicts on all the social platforms. So follow them. They're a great family. And we're gonna close this family hangout tonight on Wizard World Rewatch Wednesday with Mark Boone Jr. just randomly picking up the guitar and singing us out, everybody. So on behalf of Wizard World, I am your host Mike G. We'll see you next time. But here, without further ado, Mark Boone Jr. on the guitar.
Thanks, guys.
Can't get around the man in me. Can't step past the woman, the mother in you. Could there be a poison running in the veins?
Yeah, baby.
I love it.
Yeah, Booney.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
And that's it. See you later, everybody. Have a great night. And we'll see you next time. Whiz Quiz tomorrow night.